The year is 87039, new nonlinear time. It's been 50,000 years since Steven Zapata's final art stream, but we still live in a golden age defined by the gifts his stream bestowed upon mankind. Faster than light travel, eternal life, Steven cloning, and the keys to a truly galactic human civilization. My name is Steven Zapata, a reminder clone of Steven Zapata, an exact reproduction of his personality as constructed by an AI compiling millions of hours of his original art streams. By all accounts, I'm exactly like the original Steven's public persona, just more muscular, exactly as he would have wanted. I travel the stars on my light tracer, a dream of Steven. My crew is, of course, all clones of Steven. Some of my officers are reminders like me, but not all. Some are bioclones, and yet others are aspectoids, clones who, instead of trying to capture his full essence, amplify a particular portion of the original Steven's personality. We've spent hundreds of years drawing, exploring, and philosophizing while snaking our way through the stars, spreading the good word of design. But we've had another, secret mission as we've cruised the cosmos. I, seek information on the legendary originals, Steven Zapata's true drawings that he flung wide across the stars at the end of his life on Earth, never to be seen again. My crew thinks I'm looking for them for the same reason all the other madmen do, because they would be valuable beyond all reason. But they don't know what I know, that a critical mass of originals in the hands of a trained reminder can provide a psychic link to the original Steven mind. Once I collect enough, I'll be able to fulfill my destiny and achieve psychological continuity with the original Steven. And through me, he will live again to usher in golden ages of art forever. Drawing Ascendant, the eternal chronicles of Steven Zapata. Lasting Legacy 1, Epic 1. Here we are. We are live. I need to turn on another light. Give me a damn second. Oh, it's not plugged in. Good. That's great. I was just plugging in the light. Oh, good for you. There it goes. That should help a little bit. Slightly. Slightly helps. How's everybody doing? Welcome. It's been a while. It has been a while. We had a nice Thanksgiving break. I had a sale, and then after my sale, the sale went very well, better than I expected. So there was a whole ton of people jumping in on the course and getting going with the assignments. So I had a big backlog of feedback to do, and I got caught up. I got through the entire feedback backlog. Finally got to that moment where I was like, oh my God, I hit it all. At some point yesterday, in the middle of the day, it was a long haul, and so now we're back to streaming. Now my schedule is a little bit more under control. We're streamy weemy. But because I had a little extra time, today I'm going to do some notes and edits for some of the finished work that is getting posted in the course. There's an area in the course where people can share their creative attempts, their creative exercises, which is very important. I prioritize in the course that you should be spending only about half of your time practicing fundamentals in a raw way, sort of the assignments in the course, and you should spend the other half of your time drawing the stuff you actually want to draw. So I'm very gratified to see a couple of submissions in the finished art section. So we're gonna chill, give some notes. I don't know how long notes and paintovers will take. If we get through them kind of quicker, I'll switch to drawing my own stuff or working on our big old Gobelino lineup, which is the last thing that we worked on. I haven't looked at this in a bit. Thanksgiving feels like it was forever ago. Where's my Gobelino lineup? This lineup. Maybe we'll bop back and forth, look at this a bit. You know, it's like whatever we want, really. It's all about whatever we want to do. What music do I want on? Do I really want drums? I just don't know. Let's just do lo-fi like usual. I just need something that does not even make contact with my consciousness. As anodyne and neutral as possible, please. The beautiful modern day James, how are you, sir? All right, so I'm gonna start in on doing some notes for the precious and wonderful Matt Glazier. And I'm going to, I was looking at this a second ago, but I just wanted to write a couple quick notes about what I like before I go in. So nice focal control on this one, I thought. If you turn it black and white, you can see that it's clearly the flame that's the main focal point, but you also see that Mario and Peach stand out way more than like Luigi and, who's Luigi's girlfriend? Is it Daisy? She's too good for him. And the Toad's back there. So good focal control there with the values. Actually, I'm doing good, but I'm almost also pissed, says the MDJ, the modern day James. What are you pissed about, buddy? Is it robots? It might be robots. You know, I hit go on stream because I had stream go fever. I was like, let's do this, baby. And I didn't read Matt's notes. Let me quickly skim this. So let me show you. This is the back of house for the course. You can see we're in the general finished work section. Or am I in the feed? Nope, clicked that by accident. Topics, general finished work. We got another submission. Nice, nice, nice. So here's Matt's. Let me just quickly skim what he said here to refresh my memory. So a little worried about using the big airbrush on it. Wanted the colors generally muted and dark, but thinks it got muddy. Yeah, I see where he's coming from. It's a tough thing because these designs, being what they are, they kind of live on being colorful. You know, it's really hard to pull off an IP that's based on saturation and energy and stuff like that. It's very hard to pull it off in a different color palette unless you change a lot of other things about it, which is changed here. When I do my edits, I'm probably not going to shy away from lightening it up a lot because it's the better mistake to make to get good light and good saturation in there, because those things are easy enough to remove if you have a base version that has them, and they're difficult to add in if you started desaturated. So I'm probably not going to shy away from it. Shadow shapes, values. Looking at it now, it's too low contrast. Can I not see properly? No, Matt, it's not that you can't see properly. It's that as we work on something, our eye becomes ever more accustomed to the value range of it. Our pupils dilate and it looks lighter to us while we work on it than it's going to be to someone who just started looking at it because they're getting the first impression. So it's not that you can't see, it's just that we all suffer from that as we spend a long time on things. That's why you got to get other people's eyes on it, or you need to, through a lot of repetition, find out the mistake that you make over and over again. Either you go too light or you go too dark, and always be ready to make corrections for it. So I know I always go too dark. So if I don't have time to sleep on a picture or to show it to someone, I always can just reliably say, put a levels on it at the end, boost the contrast and the overall brightness 10 to 15% or something like that, and that'll put it in the right spot. Looking at the highlight, specular, light effect, too generalized. Totally wrong for the castle to have the rim light on it. That's a good thing to point out. Yeah, we can move that around. Not sure all the shadow colors make sense. We'll look at that when we add lights. No, he's even got a time lapse. Wow. All right. I think I got the idea. Well, let me quickly skim the time lapse here. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Look at Matt's time lapse. Look at how diligent. Look at all the little thumbs, little sketches. Oh, the preparation. A perspective grid? Wow. What's it like to actually be like a disciplined and good artist instead of being a hack like me? That's amazing. Look at him go. Oh shit, that's one of the boards from workshop. That's one of my slides from workshop. That's funny. Blast to the past. Oh, and then did the drawing separately. Very, very nice. Yeah, I'm really excited to do this one because you know, Matt spent a really long time on it. He said in his submission that he put a lot of time in it and tried to go as far as he could with it, and that's always like, those are the most fun to give notes on because your notes sort of naturally align with they naturally align with the amount of time the person put into it. You know, you can finish at any level. It just comes down to when you personally topped out on it. But if someone put a ton of time in it, it's much easier to get into the nitty gritty with notes. You can go really long. You spend a long time on a paint over. And if someone is topping out after it's just like, you know, a sketch that took a few minutes, it's like, well, the notes, you know, they just naturally won't rise to the occasion, you know, because you're pushing it further than they would have. So it's nice when people go all the way. Wow, what a cool time lapse. And it's so cool that it shows all of your process, Matt. That's awesome. Love it. Keep it up. Man, the due diligence, dude. I have to admit, I'm super impressed. Matt was one of my students in my workshop. Matt, was it in the most recent workshop or the one before that? I think you were in the most recent workshop, right? I'm talking like Matt's in here. I don't think Matt's in here. But I've always been very impressed with his work and how far he's able to push things and how ambitious he is. And just this is, you know, playing that out further. Good job, Matty boy. Good job, Matty boy. Yeah, he says in his submission he did his utmost to finish fairly recently. So let's work on some finished stuff. Let me review what's up with. Let me see what James said. I'm doing my best, but I'm also pissed. He said, I will make a video and share my thoughts. Okay, so I take it is about the robots? I take it that is what you're angry about? Go on, make those videos. Get it out there. Get your feelings out there. You know, we got to talk about it. Nice vocal control. Let me add another note here that says, amazing process. I'm getting old, so I forgot the word process. Love that. So how's everybody doing on this Thursday? Everybody feeling good? Let me reset my clock here. Here we go. All right, so first a little bit of layer cleanup. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab the castle because I know I'm gonna push that to the background. Which is tricky because we got the little mushroom guys, the toadstools, coming out of it. Oh, Huion, why do you lag when you use the lasso tool and nothing else? It makes no sense. So I'm just gonna grab the whole castle to make my points. I'm gonna include these toadstools. Matt, you will have to resolve the layout problems on your own if I cannot. Well, you know, Matt, a lot of these notes, it's like people don't actually then go and redo the piece or anything like that. So that's up to Matt, but I'm just not gonna get caught up on worrying about the logistics of the layout. I want to deal with the compositional stuff. All right, so we got that. Let me grab the cast of characters in the front on their own layer. Oof, the hell happened? Come on, Huion. I would do this much more carefully and have many more layers if I was doing this for myself, of course. But since it's for notes, just gonna grab the big stuff. God damn it, Huion. Messed up my whole selection. Pissing me off. I don't have the patience to do that again, so we're gonna do it with the polygonal lasso tool and do it sloppier. Huion, fix this. It's embarrassing. They'll never fix it. You have no recourse. Huion, Wacom, all these companies, their products are garbage. Apple should be making all of this stuff. It's too bad they don't. Huion, Wacom, all these other companies, they actually update their drivers for the express purpose of breaking the tools and adding new and exciting bugs. Mix that with software like Photoshop that is aimed at the same ends, and you get a truly horrible user experience with absolutely no support, and they don't care about you. In fact, they resent you. I mean, look at all the little random jaggedies and loops it's giving me on this selection. Unbelievable. Absurd. Apple, whenever you're ready to make tablets, I will be there on day one. Whenever you make a big Apple Studio display that is also an iPad Pro digitizer, I'm there for it, baby. Oh my God. Deep breaths, deep breaths. And let's get Bowser as well. You like the beard 1/60th Soar? Yeah, well, I need my winter protection. I usually like to shave it, but once New York City winter starts barreling down on me, I almost always grow it out. It does make a difference. It really does make the bottom of your face more comfy when there's driving snow pounding you in the face every time you walk the dog. My apartment hunt has also escalated recently. Put in an application 2 days ago for a place that I really want, but trying not to get my hopes up. It's definitely a brutal time for apartment hunting. I basically just tried to put in the app and then I was like, all right, forget about it. Like it never happened. We'll see what comes back. That's simple. So now we'll grab that and we'll put it behind. I guess Matt wanted Bowser furthest from everything, the most in the background. So let's look at how the stack looks. Yeah, let me just add a little bit to Bowser's layer. Bowser's layer. Set this two behind. All right. And let me see if I can get the frame for free. Basically, all right, nice. Just get rid of all this. Again, like I said, if this was a piece Matt had spent less time on and put less effort into, I wouldn't be taking the time on a paint over to make these layers, but he earned it. I love your art, but honestly, I stay here for the rants. Me? Ranting? No, that doesn't, you must be thinking of another art streamer. I don't think I've ever ranted on here. What do I have to rant about? All right, that should work generally in case we want to address the frame at all. So we copy, 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 and we paste over, and then it's on, yes, it's on its own layer. I don't know what this accent is. Be easy with it. You never know when you're going to offend somebody. All right. Okay, very good, very good. All right. So first thing that we want to do, or that I want to do, it's difficult when you have a like a central glowing light, because central glowing lights like that, especially something like fire, you know, I know it's magical fire, so it can have whatever properties we want, but fire for real fire is unbelievably dark. And that's how we're used to seeing it. Well, not unbelievably dark, but darker than you'd think if you were painting it. we think of it as, because it's a light source and it's so important, we think of it as being super bright. But if you've ever been around a campfire at night, even a pretty big one, when there's no other light around, when there's no other lanterns or torches or anything like that, if it's just the firelight, then you know if you walk like 2 feet outside of the tight circle of firelight, it's dark as hell and you can barely see anything. And the shadows, because it's one singular light source, the shadows that are being cast by anything around it, anything around the campfire, are extreme and black, very, very, very dark, because the firelight is producing so little ambient light to fill the shadows. So firelight is actually very, very dim if we want it to feel right, or feel realistic. And as we push it, we sort of lose a little bit of that feeling, and it doesn't really give us the ambient light that we need. So you have addressed that. I think my interpretation, Matt, is that you've got the firelight and then sort of a cool light from, I'm gonna guess, like the moon or something like that, is doing your lighting in the areas that are not being rim lit by the fire. So I'm going to roll with that, but I'm going to boost the moonlit feeling. I'm going to design the firelight shapes first so that they're a little bit more strict, so that they make bigger shapes on some of the characters. And then we're going to fill the gaps with a bit of stronger moonlight. And then we're gonna see if that effect will carry over effectively to Bowser. My gut tells me it's gonna be a problem. And we are going to push the castle way into the background. I feel like I want the castle to be behind Bowser. What happens if I do that? Does it look totally wrong? That doesn't even work because that part of the castle is in Bowser. Let me paint that up. Maybe that changes Matt's composition too much. It just feels like it should be plunged away. All right, first let's go with, to prepare ourselves, let's go with Matt's note that he gave himself, and let's get rid of these rim lights, because I agree with him that if we want the castle to fade away into the background, we don't want these here, because it just naturally brings it up towards the source of the light. It's weird. Did I erase that? Oh, whatever. Let's make sure Matt's name is more visible. Easy to darken the sky later. But I want to give a basis to believe the moonlight and for us to get a silhouette of our castle. Put a cooling filter over this, just so that we know it's cool no matter what. We have a decent chance of blowing away our hot reds. Can't lower the opacity. Let's go to levels, reduce the contrast. And then let's still make sure that it's darker, because even in nocturnes, I like to respect that the sky is generally lighter than anything in the scene, which is true, even at night, unless you're getting some really strong local lighting or some very lucky lunar specular on the edge of something that's lit by the full moon. Mountains, buildings, everything like that is at night is still darker than the sky. The sky still has a stronger ambient intensity. And then let's give it a little haze. So it doesn't look like it's got that hard edge right at the bottom. Trying to keep it colorful instead of letting it go horribly grave right off the bat. Easy to go grave later. So I think that feels more like it's back there in the distance as a tertiary element, and it's popping off our Bowser and our cast better. But we don't want Bowser to feel like he's right behind them either. I think he's supposed to be plunged into the background as well. So we've got to do something like what we did to the castle to Bowser. Yeah, because in his original, Bowser's even further away than the castle. So let's see what we can do about that. So I'm going to cool him as well. Because I'm gonna paint, or I'm gonna have to repaint a bunch of the fire anyway. So I'll be adding that on top, so I might as well cool him instead of warming him. Merge that down, because Fukum, actually, let me make an archive of Castle, Bowser, and the foreground cast in case I do want the originals back on layers. So group, archive, I stick that at the bottom of the layer stack always. Oh my God, get out of here. Now I'll merge it down. If you're unsure how you're trying to adjust a value, just go too dark. See if you think that's the right reaction for some reason, and then go too light. More blue, please. See what happens if I mask out the fire out of the Bowser layer to try to get the warmth of the flame back. That'll do for now, little Kitterino. That'll do for now. Also, the beard's looking great. Thank you. Gotta keep warm. Gotta keep warm in winter. All right. That feels like a good start. We're getting a little bit more clear on a color design. Now let's take the foreground keist, and now let me think about how I want to do this. I could either paint the new light shapes first and then cool the moonlit areas, or I can try to do a generalized warm and cool balance right off the bat, or I can just cool everything first. What if I warm everything first? What does that look like? Because then that'll give me more. It looks nice right now, but it's going to hurt us when we want to try to establish the two different light sources. Yeah, let's paint the light shapes first. Figure out what we want there. Ah. Now we're into just some nitty-gritty drawing. What colors are we getting up here? Yeah, those are coming off pretty magenta. It's a fire flower. What do fire flowers actually look like? Fire color palette: white, yellow, red, green. I wonder if I'll have occasion in this paint over to pull up the new Mario movie trailer for some sort of color reference or something like that. All right, so first off, what the? Let's warm the fire slightly. So I'm just gonna get really strong yellow. Down as a base. Move it over to orange. And then we can get orangey red. As we get out here. Hold on, let me close a door. Damn turlet's yelling at me. Think I know why? You got any idea? Do you have experience doing formal debates? No, I've never done a formal debate. I wasn't like in my debate club in school or anything like that. All right, so that's looking warmer. The fire was getting a little cool after my edits. Just keeping it strictly to the warm side of the color wheel and using the brightest, most saturated version of those colors so that it has some chance in heck of being interpreted as bright. Is it harder to win a debate when you know nothing? No, it's probably easier. Because then you're probably arguing in bad faith and you can just say whatever you need to say to never give up. But that goes for debates where people know what they're talking about as well. I mean, debates rarely end in anybody changing their mind or anything like that, so. All right, so let's see what colors Matt got here for his fire. Yeah, they're veering pretty cool, especially because they're up near the, they're above the danger line for red, where, you know, above this area on the color wheel, red kind of stops being red. And if you look right here, you can see it starts being pink instead of red. And that's kind of where he landed. So it's cooling off pretty strongly. So let's get it back into warm territory. And let's use a nice warm orange. Is it pronounced Mario or Mario? Is it pronounced Mario or Mario? Which is it? Is it Mario or Mario? I actually, because of my New York accent, I called him Mario for years and years and years. And then when I moved to LA, and I was going to school with people who were from all over the place, they heard me call him that, Mario, which is how, you know, we say Mario in a New York accent. And everyone was like, why are you saying it like that? And I'm like, what are you talking about? That's his name, Mario. And they were like, it's Mario. And I was like, no, it's not. It's Mario. And they're like, of course it is. And I was like, well, that's just your opinion, man. And they're like, Mario says his own name. Say it, Steven. It's a me. What? And I remember sitting there at the table and I was like, it's a me. Mario. And I knew I was wrong. Lost. So I've got a warmer color, and it's always hard to kind of try to remember to narrate all the things that I'm doing instinctually. The rim lights on everything became truly rim lights. They, you can see that like this sliver is just like a little line. It's like a knife edge. I'm going to purposefully try to redesign so that they're shapes. big shapes that feel warm. I'm gonna lose a lot of the local colors as I do this, which is just kind of a, that's just gonna happen since I don't have layers to do this on. So you'll forgive me if I destroy your local colors map, but you can avoid that by doing this step on a linear dodge or a hard light layer over all of your local color layers, and then that way it won't destroy them. Well, what's it look like if I put mine on hard light? Ooh, nasty. Well, we can play with layer modes after that, but I want to do it very clearly like this. So on Peach, because I can believe that Peach is in front of Mario, Peach can get truly rim lit. But on these characters that are on the other side, they should be getting front lit by the flame. Let's have the hair block the rim there. Let's have this leg of Mario's pants getting hit by the warm light. Well, they're blue, so let's get rid of all this. Let's make sure the rims are not occurring where it wouldn't make sense. Let's put this whole arm into shadow to begin with. Because you can see, if we're interpreting these lights as lights from the fire flower, it's a little hard to believe that it would like get underneath this elbow area. That feels like it would be pointing out down here to the ground. So let's just reset our lighting and avoid all that. Put Mario's chin away. It's okay to just do it with all the wrong colors and everything. Value is much more important, so you can just run ugly colors over everything while you do edits like this. Going to be very stingy about where we will sort of admit the light is hitting the form. And then we'll relight later with the moonlight. DKMB says, what is up? Missed you, Steven Zapata. How are the turkeys? They were good. Yeah, I've been gone for a bit. Took the Thanksgiving break, and then I had a Black Friday sale over Thanksgiving, so I had a lot of people jump in on the course. So I had a big backlog after Thanksgiving of feedback to get through. So I spent the past few days getting caught up on the feedback so I didn't fall behind. And I'm caught up now. So here I am streaming. I'm still technically doing feedback. This is feedback for someone who posted some creative work in the course. But I couldn't resist. So you see, even if we run over all the colors and we use the wrong thing, values go a long way. Alex Dedrick says, how does one know if they are form-based artists versus other kinds? You need to explore. There's no other way to know. That's what I had to do. After trying a little bit of everything, it was clear to me that nothing tickled my fancy so much as form. It was the thing that I could get lost in easier than anything else. It was the easiest way for me to interpret images. Understanding form became like a rail for understanding other things. Like, I only understand form. I only understand color in terms of form. Trying to understand color in abstract never worked for me. It completely vexed me. Once I realized that form and color were the same thing, that they're not separated, and I did the work to construct like beliefs and rules and technical tips from that belief, it all cracked wide open for me. So it was pretty clear that, like, I'm not saying that's objectively true, right? Because a color-based artist could go the other way. They could interpret color. They could use color as the gateway to things. I'm just saying that the fact that I could do that, or that form was giving me that kind of access to other things, made it pretty clear that I was a form-based artist, faux show. So, hope you guys can see here. Letting yourself lay in something appropriately dark, not dark for its own sake, but appropriately dark, understanding the nature of your light sources and things like that. Because I was okay with doing that, my red, which is not even maximum red, right? There's still a little bit left to go on this red. You see, here's pure red. I can put it down, it's still a bit lighter, right? But this, even all the way down here, because I structured the values clearly, I get to get that red to feel lit, even though it's pure red, and pure red is dark. I mean, look at that. When I go black and white, that's not even 50% gray. That's the power of controlling your values, of basing it all on the nature of light and form. And this avoids the problem that Matt got here in his version, which I already pointed out, which is that his rim light that was supposed to be coming from this warm fire from the fire flower, his rim light got too pink. You can see that where it goes up here on the color wheel. Let me expanderino the color wheel. It has entered into the part of the color wheel where red doesn't feel like red anymore. It feels pink and it loses its punch. So I'll be doing that over and over and over again here. So now I can key the whole design off of that red. I need to make a lot of choices that will make sure that that pure red, that Mario red, will not be overwhelmed, will not be completely overcome. Let's make this blue a little warmer. Now notice that to make it warmer, I made it more gray. With everything that's so cool around this area. All right, look, just to make it clear. There's perfect neutral gray, right? See that? There's no color. If you look at my stuff down here, saturation is at 0. If I put that perfect neutral gray right here, looks warm, right? It doesn't look perfectly neutral. So we're gonna do that same thing to the blue when we need to warm it. We can warm it slightly by desaturating it. And again, I'm being very stingy, making sure it's darker than the red, because blue tends to be darker than red. Yep. Very stingy with where I'm saying the light is hitting the overalls. I don't want to get scurred and start putting it all over down here and all that. It's like, it's gonna hurt everything. It's better to just let things plunge into pure shadow. What design elements did he have here? Just like wrinkles and stuff, it's fine. Does the red look so bright because of the insert German name effect? Well, increased saturation is indeed interpreted as increased brightness in the mind, but in this case, I mean, a little bit of that is happening, but the main reason it looks bright is because I've controlled the values around it. Because the more common thing to have happen is that red almost always gets too dark looking in pictures where it's prominent. And you can pump it as red as you want and it won't lighten up. So the, what's it called? The Hirschfeld-Koltzmann effect or whatever it is not going to save you with red. It's working because the other values around it have been carefully policed. Actually, don't want to do that. So just judiciously removing rim lights from places where it seems unlikely a light up there would actually be, right? Like, especially anything like this vertical leg. Oh, where's Matt's name? There we go. Anything like this vertical leg that is basically pointing at the light source, right? Those are almost always going to be in shadow. People make that mistake all the time, but the leg is still just a cylinder. This is why I make people draw cylinders in the course and understand the 1, 2, 3 read on them. It's almost specifically so that they can understand this problem with legs, which is that, you know, if you have a light source here, if you have a cylinder that's pointed right at it, if you were just looking at the geoform, you would get that it's like, it's just that top plane that's lit, right? And if it's perfectly aligned with the light source, that whole side is going to be shadowed. But then once you have a leg, just because it's a complicated shape, you pretend that isn't happening and you blow it and you put the shadows way down here, and you know, it's like, no, you mess it up completely and you lose the read. It's still like the hips are hiding it, but that top plane of the leg is the only thing that would be lit. This would all be shadow, and you would maybe get a couple little slivers where it's like a really ripped rectus femoris might pop out just enough to catch the light, or a little bit of knee, but you're not gonna get any big light effects on something like that. So the green grass, green is the opposite of red in many color systems. We're going to want it to indeed be very grave, which you got right? Like, you really sucked a lot of the saturation out of your greens. I'm speaking to Matt here when I say you. So if we look at Matt's info here, you can see that the green for Yashi is very, very, very desaturated, right? Which was a good move, but we haven't clarified enough yet the secondary light source. So what I'm gonna try to do is I'm gonna make the greens basically stay black, because green would indeed have a very weak reaction with red light. I'm gonna let the greens stay basically black, very dark in the areas where they would only be being lit by the moonlight, and I'm going to let them green up more in areas that do get caught by the moonlight. Our artificially juiced blue moonlight, really a film set moonlight. Moonlight in reality is white, it's just reflected sunlight. It has a very broad color spectrum. It's just so dim that it comes off like it doesn't have full spectrum in it. But it can produce the variety of local colors. If you take out a bunch of sheets of colored paper, add into moonlight, you can still tell the difference between most of them. There's another problem in there in that it's actually so dim that it switches your rods and cones to run on a different like neurological line, or it actually activates a different set of rods and cones that are specifically for low light situations, and those rods and cones produce inferior color reproduction on your end to the rods and cones that work in well-lit scenarios. So a lot of the assumptions that we have about moonlight are skewed by our own perception. It's just reflected sunlight, and sunlight is full spectrum. And it casts hard shadows, because it's a small light source from your point of view. So I gotta redesign these shapes down here a little bit. Let's juice a little color in here. Matt wanted this painting to be a little bit darker and creepier, so that lets me get away with putting some nice black shadows. I'm not making that up, right? Matt did say that. Let me go back to his submission here. I read so much stuff these days, I gotta remember. I gotta actually consider. I did want the colors to be generally pretty muted and dark, but is it just muddy looking? All right, so we can go muted and dark, but you can see that if we're very careful with the way that we arrange it, it's like, I wouldn't say that that feels muddy, right? The colors still feel clear because of the strength of the value design. You can still go dark and not go completely muddy if you do moves like this. It's tricky stuff, you know? I'm not saying it's easy, but art is all about the tricky stuff, and I'm a tricky bastard. Hey, Steven, I have a question. When I work on my paintings, the color looks great, but when I turn it in black and white, it looks bad and unreadable. Any advice? You need it to look good in black and white. I mean, it doesn't need to have all the charm of the color painting in black and white, of course, because then why would you even be painting in color? But it should still be legible in black and white. It should still have its light and dark impact in black and white. Your colors may just look like, you know, because it's like your colors may just look great because really strong colors just look great. Like if I just drop hot yellow in here, it's just like, in abstract, it's just like, oh, those are lovely colors. They're just so bold and strong and bright. They're probably more desaturated for you on your end after YouTube's processing, but on my screens, they look, woo, you know, they look nice and bright. So you might just be getting fooled by the saturation and just candy color charm of the colors you're putting down. I don't know what your paintings look like. And then when you make them in black, when you switch them to black and white, it's revealing that there's really not a lot of structure in the painting. All right, so we'll come back and relight a bunch of that once we add the secondary light source. We can warm up these tree roots. Let's get them closer to middle value. Just want to make sure they don't come, that does compete a bit too much. Let's lower it here. Always checking the navigator thumbnail down here to get the initial read. So that's how I was evaluating. Like, again, if you go to the extremes, that often makes it easier to make your choices. So the decision I was making there is like, imagine if this tree root was that bright. Then look down here in the corner. It's really easily competing contrast-wise with Mario in the center, right? So I don't want to make that choice. So the values that I picked are much less likely to compete. How often do you stretch your wrists? Every day. Every day when I'm out in the street and I'm slapping fools. Every time I'm moving a car and some New Yorker's like, hey, what are you doing? Stretch my wrists every time when I do that. I crack it across his face so hard that I get a good stretch in there. You know, in slow motion, it's like this. It's like, this is his head, his dumb head. And I'm like, boom, boom. And look at that. Look at that stretch that I get. See that stretch? And then full follow through. I'm like, if we move the camera anime style, I'm like, full follow through. Full follow through every time. I'm gonna try to clarify the shadow shapes here. Always just do some random hard-edged wigglies, just to give it some structure. We can keep those warmer. We can imply there's light bouncing off the mushrooms, fill in the root shadows with a little bit of warmth. I take it these toadstools are supposed to be red, so we can let them get quite red, but we don't want to use Mario red. Mario red is now reserved for Mario. It's just for him. No other thing in the picture can get my red. My red is just for me. You don't agree? Oh, that's interesting because I have a fire flower. Do you want to say that again while I point this at you? Yeah, I thought not. Sit down, sit down! Right now. You have no idea who you're dealing with, seriously. I feel like it's sliding a little bit there. Wahoo! What? Okay, that's feeling warmed up. All right, now we're gonna redesign some of the light. This is gonna be the tough part. We gotta redesign the light on these fools. The three over there, Yoshi, Luigi. Sam Lamb says, doesn't sound like Chris Pratt enough. Yeah, it doesn't. Again, just painting out little bits, occlusion shadow, not occlusion shadow, rim lighting, where I don't think they would actually be. Adding in a little bounce light from the red shirt underneath him. I needed his flesh tone to get lighter so that when I add flesh tones like this to Luigi over here, Luigi's pretty pale, right? Do Luigi and Mario have different flesh tones? I'm not kidding. What? What? What species is Luigi? What the? Jesus. You can't make this stuff up, man. Luigi looking hot. Luigi looks like Adam Driver, the way Matt drew him. Did I say hot? I mean, like a guy, like a normal guy. Shit, what did I say? Just doing what I said, just restructuring the lighting so that the warm light creates bigger shapes on the characters. Yeah, the basic move here is that, maybe I didn't enumerate this as well as I should have. Like, Matt, I think your painting you feel like it got dark and muddy because you relegated what really should be the main light source to being a rim light, right? You see it's all over here, it's all stuck out on the edges, but it's the most prominent light in the figure, in the whole picture, right? So it feels unusual to relegate it to being the rim light, right? Even here, where it feels like it's almost a direct light creating big shapes on Mario, it then occurs as a rim light out on the edges. So And then you used your secondary light source, which seems to be a light blue ambient from the nighttime scenario around everybody. You use that to fill in most of the actual information in the picture, and that forced you to stay really dark and desaturated and kind of muddy with it. So to clarify what I'm doing here, I am elevating the most obvious light in the picture to being a true primary light source, which requires it to actually dramatically affect the forms. So I need to get it off of the rims and onto drawing on the inside, what the course really focuses on. I can do this because I'm not afraid of using light to draw on the inside. So the shapes it make can be big. You'll get better at that as you render spheres, combined organic geometry, things like that. And then I'm going to take what you have as really the primary light source here, which unfortunately was your ambient. It wound up being your ambient. I'm going to relegate that to what it should be, which is a fill light, and let it occasionally produce a rim light, which, you know, is basically like, if we say this is a cinematic night light, moonlight, the moon is producing a blue nighttime ambient that is going to fill the shadows, a bluish, and then we can say that spots on the edges of characters are going to catch like the direct moonlight, like the silvery moonlight, and that will be our new rim light. Yeah, I don't think I put it that clearly before, but that's what I'm doing. Can a direct light be a rim light? What? Rim lights can come from either it depends what you mean by direct light. If by direct light you mean like a hard light source, yeah, a rim light can be made by a hard light source or a diffuse light source. But a rim light is rarely, unless you're going for a particular effect, it really can't be a primary light, because by definition rim lights are coming from behind, so they just can't really light the figure. The figure, you know, if you had like a monster in a very particular situation, like let's say we had like a black room. And this was a horror movie. You had a rim light lighting the edges of the monster that you're looking at. And there was no other light in the scene. Theoretically, the monster, you would see, you might see some details in here. Depending on the exposure, right? But this light, this warm light that I indicated as the main mass, that's bounce light from the rim light coming from behind, shooting past the monster and hitting the floor somewhere in front of him, and then bouncing back up into him. So it's like, if you want to interpret this as the direct light, the main light, the primary light source, you could, but it's going to be very dim, and it's really just a bounce light effect from the rim light that's coming from behind. I mean, these are all subjective definitions. I mean, this is all artsy taste stuff. Like, there's no solid definitions for all of these things. So when I've got, so he's got the turtleneck, right? So it's like a cylinder. And then it needs to cast a shadow onto his chest, a cast shadow, right? So when I've got a moment like that where I need to cast a shadow, in my head, I draw a line to the light source, and then that's the angle of the shadow that I cast. Basically, no matter what the geometry of the actual surface is. It's more important to emphasize the directionality of the light at this point. I know this is a stupid question, but what do you think about time? How much a small illustration may take? Yeah, I don't think there's any rules there. I think rules are probably damaging there as well. I know that may sound like a cop-out, but I actually would argue that pretending there was a good answer there would be the cop-out. If I were to randomly say, a small illustration should take 5 hours, it'll fuck up the rest of your week. You'll spend the rest of the week being like, all right, how can I do it in 5 hours? All right, well, I'm gonna set a 5-hour block here. I'm gonna try to put out a picture. It's like, that happens with artists, you know? So no, I'm not gonna say anything. It's like, you should take your time, and it should take as long as you're comfortable with, unless you're on a job. And if you're on a job, they'll tell you how much time you have. What color is Daisy's dress? Is it orange? No, it's yellow. That's a tough one. So let's try to keep it. I said that's a tough one because I can't let it compete with Mario because it's right next to her, right? Like if it's being lit warm, if I go pure yellow, which it, you know, it could get pretty yellow because it's being lit by a warm light and it's a warm color. If I put like that right next to Mario's red, look how that messes up the composition completely, right? You go right to her instead of to Mario. So you would say, all right, well, just lower the value. The problem with just lowering the value is that yellow has a very specific chroma point. It stays yellow only at that super high value, right? See how keyed up that is? And then if I just come down here, it's not really yellow anymore. Now it's like green or brown. It's very specific in its chroma point. It only holds its chromatic identity within like 3 steps of gray. It sucks. It's the worst color. I hate yellow. So It's an interesting problem to have. It's like, how do I need to ride the line just right that it'll still read as yellow in a warm light, but it won't compete with Mario's red. Let's go. Let's not compete. Stay in your lane. I'm Mario. I've collected 120 power stars. You have no idea what I'm capable of. The things that I've seen. The things I've had to do to monsters worse than you. Don't fuck with me. Can one brighten up the contrast on the red to help it stand out from the yellow? That leads to the problem that I was discussing before. That would be, if you're not careful about your composition, you're going to wind up pushing it that way. But if you go back and rewatch, or if you remember what I said before, this red is already at its highest point of chromatic achievement. So if I click here, see, that's basically pure red, right? And this is red's chroma point, 50% gray. If I go higher than this, it becomes pink instead. And we don't want to do that. That's when things start getting washed out. And that was the problem that Matt got on his. You can see that his warm highlights on his Mario got pinkish instead of reddish. Those stayed red, but then he struggled to make it make sense with the warm light, putting red main light onto Mario and then also producing a rim light. So you got to be very, very cautious. I know to watch out for these things because I've messed them up 1,000 times in the past. Damn it. Sorry, give me a second. Apartment stuff. Painting out that rim light. See how much brighter it is than the red? So I'm gonna make it darker back here. Helps it a little bit. If I'm gonna lighten it, I'm gonna lighten it next to the Mario side so that it emphasizes at least his contour instead of Yoshi's tail in the back. Being very slow to add values to the yellow because of the chroma point problem. Let's pick one little spot to really communicate that it's yellow. Again, keeping it close to Mario. Joseph, I'm glad you're here. Joseph, I got to talk to you about our Sunday plans. I got a curveball thrown at me. I got to go meet the landlord for an apartment I want to get Sunday morning. So I think we got to pivot. Do you know what time you'd start being unavailable on Sunday, Joe? I'm sorry, my time is so compressed these days that yes, I am gonna take the opportunity to schedule with you on stream. You can also just text me your info if you don't want to talk about it here. Here's the thing. I'm a very busy and important man, says Joe. How warm can I push this green for Yashi? I don't think she's in town on Saturday. And you can't do Monday, right? If I did Monday, it would need to be during the morning or afternoon. I have a work meeting at 7 p.m. at Kingsview. Hold on a sec. I'm looking at my calendar. Calm down. We could do Monday. Could you text me your time windows for Monday so I can text them to, so I can coordinate with Magda? I'm looking at Yoshi. How green is Yoshi exactly? He's very green. He is like he's my favorite color. Burn out any monitor green. That's how green he is. Scrub-a-dub-dub. Sometimes it's very difficult to evaluate a color without getting a transitional hue shift in there. It's like it'll always look wrong forever if it's just one flat color. Not for every color, but for something like this green, it's like you got to get the shift to blue in there, even just to judge it, or else it's always going to look like crap. Yeah, that'll work. Sure. Yeah, sure. Hello, Justin Cohn. Hello, hello. Oh, look at this. This shot of Luigi from Luigi's Mansion is really not very much unlike the color scheme we're going for here. Let's take a look at this. See, it's got a warm light, not as red as ours, but it's got a warm light affecting one side, and then a blue cinematic night light on the other side. Blue's about there. I do this all the time when I look at pictures. I color pick around. Even if I'm not going to use those same colors, because they rarely work, because even if you use the colors, it's like they're usually not going to fit into the value scheme of your painting, just to see the relationships. Blue's up there. Skin tone just holds a general skin tone. I didn't want that to slide away from the usual. And then the warm light's probably not all that warm, right? Yeah. It really just goes to white on the specular. I like it when the speculars get a little colored. Oh look, that's a good example of a warm green. Man, that's real up there. Pretty pale. That does not go all that cool either. That gets really cool. And then look at that, that just blows out to white. I don't like that. From the blue light, that blows out to white. Maybe there's another light source doing that. Who knows? Anything to pop them off, I guess. But we're gonna add our blue lights later. We're just doing one light at a time to make it clear. If I was doing this just for myself, I'd probably be adding both at once, but want it to be clear. Very, very clear. Yeah, sorry, Joe. The apartment hunting is really throwing my schedule into chaos, because it's like you just got to be ready to go. You never know when they're going to be like, all right, come see this apartment right now. And I was like, all right, well, this is the only day I can meet. It's like, oh God, what a drag. Let us cast a shadow from Luigi and Daisy onto this tree. Let's warm this one up just like we did the other one. Truly loathe that green. I really do. I can already tell you I'm gonna wind up knocking it back. It's just so hard to make it feel like Yoshi without it. All right, so now they feel like they're lit by the light source. instead of being only rim lit by it. Oh, I forgot to paint out these guys. These are always a problem. Let's get rid of these guys. Just warm cast local color shapes instead of rim lights. Daisy's hair is brown, yeah. It's almost orangish. It's like auburn. All right, now we can't, or we don't want to pull the same move on Peach because we want Peach to feel like she's in front of Mario, and so in front of the Fire Flower, so she is the only one who would actually be truly rimlit by it because it will be behind her. So let's make sure there's no hot spots going on the inside of Peach. Peach's hair is blonde, yeah? Oh, okay, so we can get a nice yellow color on her hair. She got the little crown. That can get pure yellow. Again, yellow is a problem for chroma point. I think Matt's impulses were right there. I'm gonna warm that up considerably. let's spruce our little toadstool guys here. Reuse this warm white for their, what is Toadstool wearing? Diapers? Yoga Satriana says, "Hola, Steve. Nice days." Hola. Nice days indeed. All right. Big blobs. Big blobs. Okay, let's see how our main cast is looking. Big changes, big changes. Let me poke these mushrooms real quick. Just getting those rim lights out wherever we had them. Yep. It's these guys. Just let that be the green we had before. It's all right to let the green come here because red and green are complementary, so now Yoshi's green is working for us. It's bringing a nice complementary note right up to those red masses that make up Mario. And just painting out the rim lights. What makes rim lights inappropriate for this picture, as in why is it an issue? They're not inappropriate. I plan on adding them back in. It's just that in the original version of the picture, the rim lights were the primary high contrast light source, which just gives you this, if you look at it zoomed out all the way, without a more normal key light that is just filling in the forms easily, it makes the composition look kind of like, if you're zoomed out, you can see it's just like, it's a series of squiggles. It's just like little worms racing across the picture. So like it loses all the big shapes of the composition when, and mind you that rim light is being created by the red flame, right? So figures that are in front, they're all being treated with the rim light, right? But you got to realize that spatially, if you understand the form, Peach is the only one who should have a true rim light on her, because a true rim light, a kicker, comes from behind, and she's further in front than anybody. She's in front of Mario, Mario's in front of Luigi, Daisy, and Toad. She's the only one who should be rim lit. Mario has a complicated top light situation going on, but they're behind him, so they're behind the flames. So for them, it shouldn't be a rim light. It should be lighting them from in front. It becomes a front light. So that's the main body of my edit. I've tried to respect the actual positions of these characters to this light source, which is central, and then this is starting to give me shapes that are larger instead of just squiggles, right? So we've got a definitive shape of light there, shapes of light here, the dress is lit, we've got more definitive light shapes going on there, and that's making it not a series of squiggles, but bigger shapes. But I'm gonna add a blue light from the moon, so we will still be able to get rim light, just it won't be the primary light source. And this is a tricky one because they're colorful characters. They're colorful characters in a local light, but Matt also wanted it to be kind of dark and creepy. He's doing like a dark and creepy take on Mario. That's a lot of demands. That's a tricky kind of picture to pull off. So there's a lot of demands from this one. All right, what was I doing? I lost my train of thought. Oh, that's right. So I put that blue from Yoshi's tail back there. Nice edge on that. All right, so now let's start to introduce our secondary light. So I don't need the foreground cast original layer anymore, and I have it elsewhere, so I'm going to select that. And let's put a photo filter on it. We're going to link it to that. We're going to do a cooling filter. We're going to make it considerably cool. We are not going to preserve luminosity. That darkens it instead. Let's see how it does if we keep it light. What kind of cooling do I want? That seems like the cooling that's most in line with what's going on elsewhere, but we lose a lot of local color there. But it is more definitively cool. If we look at Peach's skin tone, even though it's pretty juiced up, her skin tone feels pretty pinkish, warmish there. But on this other cooling filter, it goes blue. Yeah, let's see what we can do with that. And let's mask that out. So we're back to our warmth. I'm sorry guys, I'm getting so much correspondence that I have to keep my eye on because of the apartment hunt. So first, let's see what happens if we get a little implication of a moon in there. I don't want it to compete with the flame, but it'd be nice if it made sense of some of the rim lighting for us. And I can always paint clouds crossing in front of it later. How long have you been on the hunt for a new place? Dude, months. People on this stream have heard me talking about moving for a long time. How do people hunt an apartment? Is it with a Canon? If only it was so easy. You hunt for apartments with your whole being, with your income, with everything you've ever saved, with how you present yourself. Unfortunately, you hunt for apartments with everything. No, I do not want to save live chat. I want to save my art. Okay. I said my art. I'm taking ownership of what Matt has done here. All right, so now we got a moon there, and we're going to paint in the cool layer on a mask to prepare for adding this secondary light source. There's areas where it's going to affect forms that face it, and there's areas where it's going to affect cast shadows. And that's what I am mapping out. It doesn't look great right now, but it will tell me where to paint. I'm going to let the filter come through on basically all of Peach. So that she feels definitively cooler than everybody else. Too strong when I see it like that. Yoga says, Steve, how to overcome boredom studying anatomy. Sometimes it feels like there is no progress. Don't let yourself get bored. If you're bored, stop studying anatomy. Go draw something fun. I can honestly tell you I was never bored while studying anatomy. I was always happy while doing it. Maybe I was tired or, you know, I'd been working for a long time, but I was never bored. I wouldn't let myself get bored. It's the kind of stuff you want to learn with energy. I do like putting those guys in a cool area. All right. Now with the ground prepared, we can finally introduce the second light source, which finally allows us to actually evaluate the full value schemes of our composition. Are Luigi's overalls purple? Oh, they're blue, right? I guess they are a little purplish. Yeah, classic green and purple combo. But they're very desaturated purple. They really ride the blue line. This sexy Luigi Halloween costume has blue overalls. Idiots. They fail to capture the subtlety of the color temperature differences. I couldn't possibly be turned on by that costume with such an egregious oversight built into it. Steven would believe I am also working on a painting while you are working. I don't just believe it, I encourage it. I think a lot of people who are in here are working on paintings while I'm working on a painting. We're all in good company here. I'll let more of all this go into shadow. I got him. Don't worry about those bots. I got him. How do we want the overall? Making the rocks gray so that they can stay cool. Notice that this is a pretty, if you look in the color wheel up here, it's actually pretty blue. If you just looked at that, you might think it was a bluish gray, but it just, because the cools around it are so cool, it works as a neutral gray within that color field. I don't know how I feel about seeing Yoshi with reins on him. He needs to be controlled. He's too wild on his own. Ride me, Mario! Ride me! Get on my back, Mario.
The streets of the Mushroom Kingdom will run red with their blood, Mario. Ride me! I am your loyal steed. No one makes me feel the way you do, Mario. No one! With you on my back, I know no one can withstand me. Ride me, Mario! That's what Yoshi sounds like. Let's loose the flames of chaos. Line them up for me, Mario. I'll burn them! I'll burn them! You didn't like that, pup? Oh, it's time for your cookie. Come on. Come on and get your cookie now. Sit. Down. Touch. Spin. Spin. That thing messed up your ear, huh? Freaking guy. Need it to be warm in one spot. So that establishes what the value and color of the grass is in the light of the flame. And then we can let the rest of it get cool. That way, hopefully the mind will interpret everything else going on around here as being filled in by the light from the cool ambient surroundings. These would all be soft contact shadows where Yoshi's stepping. Those take a lot of delicate time to do. Time I do not have. Let's expand the warmth back here so that this reads easier. Yeah, that helps a lot. Ooh. I also watched the Proco featuring Carla and Steven podcast. Legit laughed out loud when I heard the Utopia crap the AI peeps were saying. Yeah, I don't know where they're coming from with that. I tell you, I just don't know what that's about. Peach's outfit is pink, so let's pick a more definitive, cool pink we can use that's also dark. Just trial and error there to get that color. Just put something down, and then like you're at the eye doctor, better or worse? Better or worse? Utopia always has an implied my in front of it. That's a good way to put it. It does, don't it? Oops, my mic is in the shot. Sorry, everybody. I'm sure that was really bothering you. I'm sure it was really driving you crazy. I gotta stretch. Ooh, that was a good crack I got there. Ah, that was a good crack. But yes, it's Looney Tunes level silly. Yeah, I used to buy into all the accelerationist, transhumanist crap when I was younger. I know much better. Yep, ditto, everybody. I mean, yeah, silly is a good way to put it. I just don't even. Well, I think I made my position pretty clear on that podcast, so I won't go recapitulating it for you all. Recapitulating all of my anger, my feelings. Ah, yes. The classic utopia where no one makes art, yes. Or not no one makes art. Well, certainly some people would not find the incentives there, but the utopia where we have to compete with machines when it comes to art. Where no one will quite believe that anything made by a person is made by a person.
Oops, how did I miss that rim light? Get it out of here. Shadow got too warm. Again, just like you're at the eye doctor. Better or worse? Better or worse? And then what if we catch just a little of actual pink? Boom. See, when you're judicious. Oh, that does so much for the eye, doesn't it? Doesn't that really create the transition into the cool shadow there? Good golly, holy Jesus, God in heaven, and all of the other saints, and from every other religion as well, too. That's nice. Removing harsh shadows because this is all more diffused ambient light. Don't want to get into changing the design. Just needed to paint the eyes back in after painting over them.
highlights that I missed. A cooler color, come off it. All right, we could truly spend forever on all of that foreground stuff. Big changes, big changes. Let's see how it looks if we preview putting our exposure fix on it. Get it under the frame. Oh, it's also doing the red background, but it's not doing the frame. Let's do curves instead. Don't like it. Just leave this levels up here. And we'll mess this out right quick. Love how this is coming out. Thanks, Saman. Let's all thank Matt for his good work. Always nice to have a good base to do notes on. Oh, we gotta put the right light on Luigi. Whoops. Wait a second, where? Let's just merge all of that. Don't need to keep that forever. Now let's just go for blue.
Cast shadows generally darker than form shadows. Very useful rule for confusing areas like that. All right, I'm spending forever on this foreground. And we've been doing this a long time. So let's make our big adjustments to Bowser so that we will have actually addressed the whole picture. What I did in the foreground was the most important note though. It was like the awareness of what you're picking to be your primary light source. And if you really want to do that, or if you really want to try to use a rim light as your primary light source, that is to say. So. We're gonna do the same stuff to Bowser, just a little bit more low contrast. So I like the colors that we got over here out on the edges of him, so I'm gonna paint that in at the top of his head a little bit. Get a cool red. For his hair. We're gonna paint out rims that we bump into again. Let me look up Bowser. Did I have a siren going by? I don't even notice that stuff anymore. And what can we use? He's got like a fleshy muzzle kind of a thing, and maybe we could use this as the warm version of that. Gotta work around the mask that I made for the fire. It's gonna keep me from painting certain areas. This is gonna be tricky because I like what Matt went for, trying to get the light in front of him to light Bowser, but it's going to be in conflict with Bowser feeling like he is receding into the background. So with the airbrush, I'm just getting like a general reaction on his shapes to the warmth. And that will also knock the contrast back a bit on him. Come on. What's wrong, Photoshop? There we go. quick choices. Still looking for the local color differentiation between the red, the green, and the peachish color on Bowser, but I need to keep it very low contrast or else he's not going to sink into the background. Sorry for the areas where I misread your design, Matt, but on things like this, as you can tell, I'm always looking for the big value and color statements first and trying to resolve those. It's like there's enough to balance there, and then kind of fix the design as you get into the details rendering. Let's see how that color setup looks. Preview how it looks if I put a warmer on it. Which we would, of course, mask out so that he stays cool over on his edges. Oops, not that. Does a little something. So we'll do that at the end. But for now, let's keep painting without it. Does Matt have an Instagram or something to see more of his work? Let me check. I mean, I think he does. I'm pretty sure he does. I remember him having one. The question is, can I remember what the name is so I can share it? Yeah, there we go. All right, you can find Matt there. And I'll put his @ here. Matthias Drawer. Mattias, Mattias, Drawr.
Ooh, this old body. This old body. All right, let's get this frickin' him. Would be so cool to see him grow as an artist and incorporate your critique into his future paintings. Yeah. Come on. That's what we're here for. I also think that would be very cool. I'm gonna admit it, I'm a bit of a Scrooge. December always stresses me out. I don't like Christmas shopping. Got a little saturated rim as it crosses into the shadow here. I don't know what to tell you. All right. I like Christmas, you know? I like holidays. Once I'm there, once I'm sitting there at the place, we're all relaxing, we're having coffee, we're drinking, we're eating food, that's great. But I spend all of December stressed because of Christmas shopping. I love his stylization of characters. Yeah, I mean, everyone who has any interest at all, go check out Matt's work on Instagram. Follow the link I posted. You'll get a kick out of it. Matt took my workshop a while ago, the last one, and the most recent one, and he's taken form from imagination now. But man, when he took my workshop, that was the first time I'd met him, and I was very impressed with his sketching ability and his storytelling ability. He showed these animatics that he had done for an episode of like Doctor Who that he was writing, that he wanted to like make an animated episode of or pitch as a show, and I was just like so impressed that he made it on his own, man. I don't know what else to say. It was just like, not like in a program, just like for himself. I was like, that's it. That's the motivation right there. Just having a creative drive and just needing to make it.
We're gonna do a... Take this peach color, let's just go just bright enough and cool enough that it reads as white. I don't want to waste values in color range, so just enough that it doesn't feel like the peach color. It feels like white instead. We'll use that there where the edge of his shell is catching the sunlight, and then it'll transition into this cool tone that gets lighter at the top because it's being filled by the sky, and it gets darker down here because it's pointing at the ground instead of at the sky. This goes the other way and gets a little bit more saturated as it goes out to the edges because it's being lit by a local thing. And then it's going to go down, and then so many calculations. And there we go. Xander says, how would you manage focal points on a complex piece like this? Hey, Xander, I would recommend once this stream is over, go back and check out the earlier parts of this stream because I discussed that up front for this one. That'll be more cumulative than me trying to quickly sum it up here. I just plugged in my sRGB monitor and it looks so different now. Yeah. It will do that for sure. Need to look at art on a good monitor. Got to make art on a good monitor too. Goodbye, Mihai. Keep on fighting for human art, you betcha. That's an easy one. You ain't got to worry about that. I will keep on doing that for sure. These white spikes can catch the moonlight nicely. We will refrain from having them catch moonlight on the sides that do not face the moon. Is it possible to become a master if I start out at 19? Like, not a master, but very good at a point where I can teach someone. Oh, yeah. Dude, 19 is... Come on. You're a baby. You're just a little baby. You're a screaming infant. The world is your oyster. Draw, draw, draw. Draw and don't waste time. And after this, never ever think about your age ever again. Age is not as big a deal as you might think it is in art. Just take it from me, yes, you're perfectly good age-wise, and now literally never think about age again. It is out of your mouth, out of your mind from now on. All right, I don't want to go too much further on that Bowser because I'm like really losing the design, and that's fine because that's what I focus on in what I'm focusing on in this kind of paint over is restructuring the composition, restructuring the lighting, representing the forms in a new way. So it's fine to lose the design, but there's only so much more. It's like I'm just going to completely make it fall apart and just not look at all like Matt's design if I just keep blobbing over it like this. So I'm gonna quit there on Bowser and we're gonna poke the castle. Then I think we'll be done with this paint over. David Finch started drawing at 23 and he was good enough to make a comic book like 4 years after that, so age is just a number in this case. It's always just a number. I really do want to implore you guys, don't think about age. That way lay only madness. There's nothing good that can come from thinking about your age, I promise you. It's like if you happen to be in a comfy period of your life where thinking about age feels good, you're like, oh yeah, I'm pretty young, you know, I got a lot of time. It's like, that's just happenstance. That's where you're at in your life. If you start giving that energy and making that matter and like running the process in your mind where it's like, that matters, that means something. When things go the other way on you, that part of your brain is going to ruin your life. So cut it off now. Just don't feed that.
Where Bowser's? Oh, they'll be that one. Oh, they're supposed to be a little off-white. Whatever, they're gonna be white for this because I got that kind of time. Just cooling them off. And then we'll paint the light back into them. Dude, this is awesome. What's your favorite Mario game, Steven? Don't know if they asked that already. Well, thank you for saying this is awesome, but this is your awesomeness should be directed to Matt Glazier, who did the original art. I'm doing notes. That was where he started. Here's my color, light, and form edits and composition edits. I'm really editing everything. My favorite Mario game. I guess Sunshine. I think that's the one I remember best. That's probably an unpopular opinion, huh? I mean, Super Mario 64 was my first 3D video game, so that has, you know, a whole lobe of my brain dedicated to it. It was like discovering El Dorado or something like that. Like, that's not an experience you're gonna forget about. I said I wasn't gonna work on Bowser anymore, and here I am because I suck. I suck ass. I'm just a bad dude with a bad heart. And I'm mean to AI people, and I'm just not a good dude at all. It's fun, you know? Can you blame me for having fun? I mean, Christ. Matt did a fun picture, so it's fun to do notes on it. And it's that simple, baby. And we ain't gotta argue about it. Fish Flops with the 10 SGD. Thank you so much, my dear fish-based friend. My dear fish footwear friend. Thank you so much, Fish Flops. You're the best. Can't wait to slip you on. Oh, I couldn't do it. It went south right away. Just like you're going south right away. I see it's not stopping. Listen, I can't wait to slip you on because your shoes, not in some other way, but I can't wait to put you on my feet. I can't wait to wrap you around my feet and feel your comforting pillow-like softness and warmth. You're very good to me, Fish Flops, and I don't deserve it. All right, now let's see what that looks like if we drop the contrast just a bit so that he falls into the background a little more. There is definitely a way you can make that work. I don't know if I can make it work, but there's definitely a way you can make that work. And let's just get some cool moonlight onto the castle so it doesn't sink away completely.
We must go cooler. Really don't want it to be interpreted as light from the fire flower. Do you review paintings for a price, Steven? Yeah, no. I'm doing this because this is a student who's taken form from imagination. In that context, I mean, my feedback is focused on the assignments in that course, but there is a section for finished creative work, and I really tell the students, like, you have to attempt your creative work alongside doing your fundamentals. So I really like seeing people actually doing it, and I have some time today, so here I am doing notes. But definitely the assignments get the priority. That's really, I don't just review paintings for a price just out of context like that, because I feel comfortable doing it here because within the context of the course, Matt has hours and access to hours and hours and hours of me explaining the fundamental concepts that allow me to make notes like this, to make these choices. If I just did this to someone's painting out of context for money, like, it'd look good, but they would just have no context for, like, how do you get there? They could, like, use my notes, try to copy them one for one to improve that one picture, but it wouldn't necessarily be a gateway to better understanding how to do that. So yeah, I don't really do that out of context. I don't think that's super useful, but within context where there's a lot of supplementary material, yeah, then it does become useful. Like for Matt, when I give notes like this and I kind of like speed through explaining terms or things like that, if I'm like, all right, so let's not do a rim light here, to someone out of context, they might need to start from square one. They might be like, what's a rim light? But for Matt, it's like there's a whole chapter on backlighting in the course, so it can all be very cohesive. How light do I have to get here to actually get some blue into that?
see what I catch on a flip. I really should read. If I was going to spend more time on this, I'd have to redesign. Since I put Bowser in front of the castle, I'd need to redesign what's going on in this very conspicuous area, because Matt had all the toadstool guys coming out of the castle. I would need to redesign all that. You could still do it. I could still extend the little bridge, get them going on a little bit here, but then I'd like... I'll just quickly draw what I would do. I would have like Bowser's arm cut here so that that can be a layer or something like that. And then I would have the toadstool guys coming over the bridge into here, but then they duck this way behind the tree so that they can sort of cohesively go into this blued background area. And then we can take a step less blue for Bowser, and then we're in the high contrast area up here up front. That's what I would do. Let me neutralize Mario's flesh tone in the shadows here. Even though it might actually get that red because there's so much red shirt around him. It actually does kind of make sense, but it's just bothering me a little, so I'm just gonna tone it down slightly. Give his face room to hold a regular color range. Varun says, are you planning to open workshops again anytime soon? I do not have a date picked or anything for workshops. I'm sure I will do another one. I do like them. It's just the time thing. Like, presently, my time is basically completely accounted for. I'm a very productive guy, but it's like, I am busy all day. So I need something to calm down or something to change. And then I can add something into that time. Whoops, I'm doing that on the notes layer. Hate when that happens. And now we can get a little bit of the blue that everybody else has on their edges onto Mario. And then let's call it there. There's much more to do, of course, but I hope this has helped you, Matt. This is what I would do to sort of restructure values and colors a bit. And then you would, of course, I ruined all the drawing, so you know, you'd have to do it more carefully, do it within your layers if possible. And even if you don't do it within your layers, just go back in and paint it up the way that you like. Reclaim your drawing. I really gotta go. If only drawing weren't so fun. Getting some speculars from the warm light. I gotta call it too, and I got stuff I gotta do before that. I'm really pushing it here, folks. All right, I'm gonna call it there for now. Matt, I hope that that's helpful. Gonna boost the midtones just a bit. You could go in there and push the blue rim light, or the blue lighting in general, on the foreground stuff now considerably further, now that it's been sort of balanced against the background and the midground. But for another time. And all right, we'll do more next time. Not on this. We'll pick someone else and we'll do more. I think next stream maybe I'll try to do another one, give another person some notes, split half the time with doing my stuff. Been doing a lot of notes, haven't drawn for myself in a little bit. It'll be nice to get back to the gobelinos. All right, everybody. Thank you for hanging out. Thanks for hanging out on this off day. We don't normally stream on Thursdays, but I missed you. You know, I needed the week off to get caught up on feedback for the course. It's nice to hang out again. I will be back again soon. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm probably gonna change the stream schedule to get off of Fridays because my wife works from home on Fridays, and we wind up, if you guys have been here, you've seen it, I wind up having to mute a lot. So I'm not, unfortunately, even though I haven't been streaming this week, I'm not sure I'll come back tomorrow just because it's annoying to have to go silent, go silent. But just so you know, stream schedule is probably going to change to Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, something like that. Or maybe I'll go completely sideways and do like Sunday, Tuesday, Friday. No, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, or something like that. Might switch to that. But yeah, we're probably moving off Fridays, just so everybody knows. All right, everybody, take care. Actually, I'm gonna stay on for another second. Do you think Matt will be angry if I use this as the thumbnail for the video? You think Matt will think I'm stealing his art? I'll stay on while I update the thumbnail. Let's undo that before I forget. And we're back to normal, and we'll save. And let me take that off for Matty Boy. Save this full res to send to him. FFI notes, Matt, Mario changes. Save that Yupug. Save that. All right, everybody. You the best.
I will see you all very soon. Happy to be streaming again. I do love it to stream. Changing the thumbnail. Save, baby. Oh, it's saved, baby. And let's just one more time see the changes we made. We started there, we got there. Started there, got there. Started there, got there. All right, everybody. How many times have I said that? How many times have I said, all right, everybody? Like, what is wrong with me, man? You'd think I'd never done this before.